Hi, hello, how are you? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That Rockwell timepiece says it's time. So come on in and stay a while. It's time to get coached up with another edition of the Coach Scott Field Show. That's right, Rockwell is a proud partner of the Coach Scott Field Show, and I'm thrilled to be a brand ambassador for the company. If you go to rockwelltime.com and use the code COACH20, you'll receive 20% off of any item or merchandise there at the website. Like and follow the Coach Scott Field Show on Facebook and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, my man Jake and I say turn that knob up. We're about to put that flavor in your ear. Also, know that you can watch us on DBTV Monday through Fridays, and there we have an opportunity to be seen in 300 million households around the globe. But thank you to our over 300,000 viewers daily. Also, you can see us on CSTV on Wednesdays and also the Rewind Sports 60. We appreciate your continued support. You guys aren't here to listen to me. I've been blessed on this show to have had NBA All-Stars, NBA executives, NBA Hall of Famers, but this man, Jake Simmons, has an NBA heart, and I'm talking a Hall of Fame heart. So, Jake, without further ado, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I think this is going to be great. Such an inspirational story, and just how you have a mindset of having adventure and enjoying life and living life to the fullest. And I really feel like if people can't get inspired by this show, they simply don't have a pulse.
Right. I agree.
There you go. Well, Jake, um take us from the beginning, because to talk about the elephant in the room, you are in a wheelchair. That
Yes,
is
sir.
how you are mobile. Take us back to the beginning. What was the diagnosis? And I guess since birth, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I was born with a birth defect called spina bifida. So I've been in a chair my whole life, and it's when I was born, there was a 2% chance of me surviving through birth, and so the doctor that was supposed to come do my surgery was out of the country at the time. And so I had like 2 weeks to be in the hospital waiting for the doctor to come back. And they had said that that I would only have about a 2% chance of surviving during those 2 weeks. And if it was meant to be, I would still be here. If not, then that's that's it. And I was diagnosed with, like, my kidneys were functioning at like less than 10%, and I was supposed to have all these different things wrong with me. And for whatever reason, I'm still here, 43 years later. I've had I've had my struggles, but I keep pushing, doing what I can, being in the outdoors, playing basketball. I love playing basketball. I love playing for the team that we have here now. It's called the Gem State Falcons. It's the first year that we've had this team together, and so we're a part of the National Wheelchair Basketball Association, and we've been able to travel around a little bit to play some ball. So it's been fun.
How can the viewers or the listeners of the show, how can they support your team? Is there a GoFundMe, or is there a way that we can raise awareness and raise finances for you to help you with travel and things like that?
Yes, sir. There is, you can go to, I believe it's gemstatefalcons.com. And you should be able to search on there we've got a little link. It's like a give butter link of some sort. It's, kind of like a GoFundMe, but it's not. Or you can find us on Facebook. There's a Gem State, just search Gem State Falcons. And we've got a page with our info, and you can, become become a follower there, and they do pretty well keeping things updated, and let everybody know about what's going on with us and where we've been, what we're doing. And so it's cool. It's been a lot of fun so far.
I just I know how hard it is, and I've been blessed to have coached at the highest levels. I've coached in the NBA. I've been a head coach, throughout FIBA basketball where we won multiple championships. But how, and of course, I know no different, but how hard is it and physically exerting is it to be in a wheelchair? Because, I mean, we've had Jeff Griffin on this show who's been with the Wheeling Jazz with Team USA. Steve Serio has also been a guest on the show. But explain to the viewers how difficult and challenging it is for you physically to get up and down the court, defend, get your jump shots off. Take us through what type of preparation you have to do to get ready for a game.
The biggest thing that I've been doing lately is just making sure my cardio's on point, because it's a lot of pushing up and down the court. And if you're out of shape, you can start sucking wind real quick. And it's that's for me, that's the biggest thing. And then I'll try to spend time outside of us being at practice. I'll try to go to the gym and get some shots in, and just to make sure that my preparation is that I'm personally ready for whatever tournament that we're going to be at. And I mean, I love the competition. I love being around everybody, and it gets um it gets very competitive, and there's a little bit of talking and stuff. Like the last tournament that I was at had a guy on one of the other teams that kept trying to talk to me, and I just toned him out, and I wouldn't play the game you know with him trying to get in my head. And then I finally just said, look, I'm here to play ball, that's it. And then afterwards, by all means, we can be buddies, whatever. But it's like when I'm on the court, it's time to ball. I'm out there to win, and that's it. So it's a good time though.
I like that. Jake Simmons is locked in. And here's what I want to share with everybody. You play on a regulation size court, 94 feet, regulation basket. Baskets are not lowered. So there's no change other than the competitors simply just being and playing from a wheelchair.
Yeah, that's correct. And we get we get 4 seconds in the key. Um and then like when you're shooting, your front wheels have to be like, if you're shooting a free throw, your front wheels can be over the line. Um but it's other than that, it's the same game, and it's really interesting to see um the level of everyone's playing. Like some of the guys um, that we've played against are, just super super tall guys, and there's a few that are amputees. So then they have you know their trunk mobility is very well, and they're some of them are dang tall, and that's one thing that I wish that I was a little bit taller. I mean, you know, I'm one of those on the team. I think I'm actually one of the shortest ones on the court, but they've got me playing down low because I've got, I mean, my wingspan's 6 foot, 6'2". So, I mean, I can get up and reach the ball pretty well. And um, so it's, we just have to, do the best that we can wherever we're at on the court. And there are some things I wish I could do a little bit better, but I mean, I'm blessed with the athletic ability that I do have. And it's fun to be able to go against others and then just show them what I can do out on the court. And I think I told you when we were visiting at the show that I had a few of the guys um, come up to me afterwards and tell me that I've got a good looking shot. And so made me feel good that I was getting the recognition from the others that we were playing. So it was, it's fun. I
Eh,
enjoy it.
Whenever you're out and you're competing and you can gain the respect of others by your hard work and your effort, and then of course, your mechanics, I mean, that's well earned respect. So kudos to
Yeah,
you on that.
thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Yeah,
Yes.
it's
So
been, yes, sir. Go ahead.
no, no, please go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, when I was younger, I mean, I've been around basketball my whole life, and but when I was younger, I did wheelchair racing competitively. I did that for 10 years. And, I was blessed to be able to be on Team USA 3 different times and went to London, England twice. My last big competition that I went to was in Sydney.
Wow.
And, so I was able to do a little bit of traveling. And, back there, that's some of my medals and Team USA stuff. And so, just as a little um, memory that I can have here. And, so it's cool that I've been able to do that much and then um, progress and just stick with basketball now. And I've, like I was saying, I've been around basketball my whole life, and it's what I love. So it's like going out and working out is kind of, when you're by yourself, working out's just kind of tough. But it's like when you're out on the court playing ball with teammates or whatever, you're having fun and you're getting, you know, that exercise that you need for, to help you so you're not stuck in there later. So
Hey, it doesn't matter because that adrenaline is going to start pumping because it's game time and it's time to compete like you talked about. And I'm glad you elaborate on that because those were the questions I was going to ask you when we were at the Hunt Expo. We were talking and you talked about, your racing background. Tell the viewers what that is like. What types of racing you were in, how did you prepare for those races, and what was it like competing at that highest level internationally in those competitions?
um so I would do all the track events. So growing up, going to junior nationals, I would do the 100 meter, 200 meter, 400, 800, and 1500.
Wow.
And so, I mean, so I was hitting them all, but my favorites were 100, 200, and 400. Um, you know, because it was, you know, all out just the whole time. And like I tried out in back in, way back in 96, I tried out for the Paralympic team when I was 16 years old. And I missed out being on a team by 1/10 of a second.
Oh,
And, um, but from there, I was able to, go to these other competitions like Stoke Manville games that were in England and still, be able to represent the United States. And uh, the second time that I went to it, I ended up winning four. I brought home four of the seven medals that Team USA had even won. So it was pretty cool. Um, and competing, I was doing like when I tried out for the Paralympic team, I was doing 12 miles a day plus the um, going to the local rec center and putting some time in, in the gym there, lifting weights. And so, I mean, I was in good shape. And,
wow.
it's, and then to stay in shape in like the off season, I would I do all the fun runs around here. And so I would hit up all the fun runs here and I would do the 6 mile. Each one of them would be a 6 mile race. And I got to the point where as I was doing those, when I was younger, yes, I was, getting beat by the runners, but the older that I got, I started catching up. And then Then I ended up getting to the point where I was beating the runners by anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, depending
Wow.
on depending on what the course was. So it takes you a little bit to get going since you're at a stop position, and then you just have to start pushing the wheels, and so it takes longer to get going of compared to somebody that's running.
What?
So
And hearing your story, you say 12 miles a day, which is basically a half marathon. I can't imagine the cardio and the respiratory and just the strength in your arms to continue to will at a high level. And in your sprints where you say, that's all out, that's going as quick as you can. How do you protect your hands? Is there a specific glove that you wear? I'm just curious because I just think all that amount of pushing on that wheel, on your frame, how do you keep your hands, or do they just callous and get tough and you just kind of build up to it?
um so so when I first started racing, I was using like batting gloves,
Okay.
and then we would wrap it with just your basic white sports tape. And so you're pushing with basically you're just at that time you were pushing with your thumbs. And then as things were progressing, there was a company that came out with a glove that was like covered in the gloves were like covered in a real thick rubber. And so those so then you're not having to mess with the tape and stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And those worked very well. Now they're down to something else that just like barely fits in like your just the palm of your hand that they hit with the wheel. So like most of them don't even wear actual gloves anymore. So things have progressed in the last 30 years.
Right.
And so it's changed. Things have changed a lot, but along with that, like you were saying with calluses, my hands would get calluses on on my thumb and on my pointer finger like crazy. So it was like my hands were tough enough um to be able to handle all that stuff, but it took a little bit. I was getting going, I would end up getting blisters quite a bit. But it's like
Ah.
once you're once you get to that certain point, then you know it's no big deal anymore. I like now playing basketball. I still get I'll still get blisters a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah,
So
'cause
when I
I think of basketball, all the starting and stopping and twisting and turning and banging. I can't imagine the physicality that goes on the court in these basketball competitions. And I mean, how do you defend? A good player and a good shooter, because it's like you got to get close, make contact, and yet try to change the trajectory of the shot.
Yeah,
And thank goodness you have a long wingspan, which I'm sure makes it better for you. But yeah, I just think all that pounding and banging going on, and twisting, that just seems like there's a lot of just cardio that goes into that game.
yeah. And you have to be able to position your chair, a certain way. Like you're not, supposed to be like facing the person that you're
Right.
guarding,
Yeah.
just like straight on. You need to have a little bit of an angle, whichever side you want to try to push them towards, and then they can't just like zip around you, and um, so then you have a little bit of momentum as you're already turned, so then you can just keep go with them, or if somebody comes up and tries to set a pick behind you or something, it's like you always have to be watching. And then it also helps having whoever your teammate is that's on that same side defending, that they give you a heads up, yelling pick coming, or
Right.
whatever. So you don't just like get blindsided from behind if you're get ready to turn and go after it. But it's it's a very it is a very physical game. I personally try well, I was trying not to be down in the, down low like that. And because I would rather be able to just play out, play up top or something. But I mean, it's been fun being able to play down low. I think it was um, was it was the Sacramento tournament that we went to in I think we had either four or five games that weekend, and I ended up with 5 blocks for
Wow.
the weekend. So it was like, that was fun for me. I was and um you know and just being able to, like I was saying before, just being able to um, challenge yourself against others just to see what they can do. If they're fast, if they're going to be able to keep up with you going up and down the court, or or what.
Oh, wow.
And then just depending on how they shoot as well. I mean, there's a few people that will shoot from behind the 3 point line, which I personally love to do, and but there's not a lot that can chuck the ball that far from a
Right.
sitting position. And so, it's, I thought I like to do it. I've always loved doing it since like junior high, high school, being able to, throw it that far. And because for those that have never watched us play ball before, or any wheelchair basketball, to see someone, throw the ball from that far is, kind of a little bit of an eye opener once in a while. So, it's fun.
Oh, what an inspiration. Ladies and gentlemen, again, you're watching the Coach Scott Field Show, and I have my buddy on here, Jake Simmons. We're talking about some wheelchair basketball. And I just think it's phenomenal to see you have the passion for competition the way you do, because you don't let others set limitations for you. You make a decision that, hey, this is what I want to do, and you find a way to make it work.
Right.
Educate those who aren't familiar with competition sport and wheelchair. Discuss the difference in a chair that you would play basketball in compared to like your everyday use chair.
So, there's a few differences. Like the wheels are at an angle. So in the basketball chair, so then like if you and the person that you're playing against are both, going for a loose ball, then the bottoms of your wheels will hit first, so you don't, bang into each other and happen to, smash your hands or something. And then um, it's also for balance. There's also a fifth wheel that goes out the back of the chair, which is also kind of a safety thing. So like back in the day when I was a kid, when we were playing ball, there'd be people that would like reach up behind them, and then the chair would tip over backwards. And so that doesn't happen, too much anymore. And it's and like my regular chair, I don't have I don't have air in my tires. My tires are just solid, just because I'm, always active, wanting to go outside, being in the outdoors. And wheelchairs and goat heads are not a good combination. So, whether it's, I mean, they're still not a good combination with solid tires, because they end up, getting in my hand because they're stuck in my wheel. So,
Oh,
um, but the basketball tires, I think they have, um, I believe it's like 95 to 100 pounds of air pressure in them. So you know, they're pretty solid. And like when one of those goes, like if one of those goes off during a game, they happen to pop. It sounds like a gunshot going off, and it kind of wakes everybody up, because it just, we're all playing, and boom, it goes off. And it's
yeah.
a yeah.
Wow, love hearing that. Good stuff. And I'm glad you mentioned your passion for the outdoors. Uh, Gosh, nothing stops you from doing what you want to do. And to me, I feel like so many people who are even able-bodied talk themselves out of doing certain things because they think they just can't do it. Here you are in a wheelchair and you're like, hey, I want to go deer hunting. I want to go antelope hunting. I want to go waterfowl hunting, and you make it happen. Talk
Yeah,
about some of the challenges of trying to hunt and be in the outdoors from a wheelchair, because I want people to know and understand it's not easy to have that mobility and accessibility just to get in and out of a van or a conversion van, but yet try to get yourself outdoors and get yourself in a position to where you can have success.
right. um, I've been lucky enough to be able to be out in the outdoors my whole life. When I was a kid, I would go. I'd tag along with my dad and my grandpa when they go pheasant hunting. Go jump in the ponds or something, and seeing if they can get some shots at some pheasants. And I usually would um, just go tag along. And but then as I got older, I wanted to go deer hunting. I wanted to go waterfowl hunting, and so um, so basically, like now if I go, I would go waterfowl hunting with my dad. I only got to go with him once this year, but previous years I would go with him, and then that I'd hop out of my dad's truck, and then they'd drop me off at one point, and then they would go out and set up the decoys, and then I would make my way over to where the blind was, and so then I could just do it at my own pace, and not have to worry about hustling to get over there because they're waiting for me or something. And I mean, I've had to um, this last season, I went with another buddy, and I to get into the field. So I drove my vehicle. I drive a Jeep Gladiator that has a lift in the back of the truck, or in the back of the Jeep. So then it brings it over to the front to where I can get in and out. And so I drove, and then once we got to the field, it was like another 150, 200 yards to where the blind was. And so I had to crawl actually I had to crawl underneath the barbed wire fence first, and then they lifted my chair over, and then they helped me they helped push me over to where the blind was. And you know I I love doing all that stuff, and it's like I will do whatever, usually whatever it takes to get out and just to be able to enjoy the outdoors. Or and I've been blessed just the last few years of having different opportunities with some different people to go out and get a mule deer, get an antelope. I got a bear that's actually right here behind me. um, I got him back in 2016 um, with my buddy Jason Matzinger,
Yeah.
and he's a good guy. Um, and
He
then
actually hosts an outdoor show and does a phenomenal job.
yeah, and I this bear hunt that I was on was actually on his show. So and it was a lot of fun. I mean, just the just the people that you meet in the outdoor community, in the outdoor industry. I mean, like everyone that I've met at the expo down in Salt Lake, absolutely amazing people. I mean, I've met some of the best people I've ever met in my life down there, and I'm still friends. 5, 6, 7 years later after I first started going to that show. And it's just a good community. Um, Great people. And so I've been blessed to be able to have the friendships that I do with the people that are down there. And going around getting my picture taken with a few certain people, and and then like I work I work in a taxidermy shop here in town, and I my boss has helped me you know helped me achieve a few things. Like he was with me for my first two mule deer I ever shot. Um, and he was with me when I got my antelope. He was with me when he invited me to go to Texas with him, and we went to a ranch down there, and had some fun um, being down there with him, and another some other groups of guys that was there with us, and it's it's fun,
Oh,
and
no doubt, no doubt.
and
Well, yeah, here's what I'm curious because everybody loves a good story. Tell your favorite hunting story or hunting harvest that you were involved with, and kind of give us the buildup of how the the animal came in and setting up the shot and all that. So give us the story of your favorite hunt.
um I would say, I mean, there's a couple. I mean, there's one that I was hunting with my dad and my grandpa, pheasant hunting, and and it's that that one meant a lot to me, just because that was like the last time I was able to hunt with my grandpa,
Wow.
and and pheasant hunting, because like pheasant hunting back in the day with my dad and my grandpa would go out. Pheasant hunting in Idaho used to be amazing, and it from what I've heard, it used to be like it is in like South Dakota or something, where it's just pheasants everywhere. And so that one, that'll always be a good memory. um and then just this last year, I guess it'll be 2 years, this fall, I was able to get my mule deer. He ended up being a 5x4, in a very tough unit here to draw a tag. And I spent 11 days with another one of my buddies trying to find a deer, and all we were seeing was does, and little fork and horns, and just um, it it was starting to wear on me, because we were putting miles and miles and miles on the side by side, and plus it was starting to get cold and windy, and the weather was just weather sucked for a while. And so I was to the point where we found a really nice 2 point that was pretty wide, and I was almost to the point where I just wanted to fill my tag and just get it over with, because I was beat. And then my boss and some couple of um, his buddies ended up shooting a deer the day before, and then um, come. Uh, they offered to help take me that next day and see if they could go find a deer for me. And so I took them up on it, and we drove around on their side by side and put some miles in looking, and jumped a lot of does again. And we went to go glass one last draw, and then we happened to see my deer hiding in the brush. And so then when I was able to get to where we were gonna see if I could pop off a shot at him, um, he was 550 yards away.
Woo!
And I had to they had the gun laid down on the grass. And I, being in a chair, I'm always, since I don't like stretch my legs out or anything, I'm always basically like in a fetal position, always in a sitting position. So I can't lay flat on my stomach. So it's like I had to try to position my upper body, and then try to position my legs to where I could scoot up to the gun to try to get a shot. And Um, and so I was able to, after a couple tries, I was able to get to a position where I could, and then um, took took the first shot, and I did connect on the first shot, but he kept kind of walking a little bit, and so then they're like, shoot another one, pop off another shot. So I sent another shot down, and um, nobody was really sure if that one connected or not. There was kind of the sound that you do, that you hear,
Yeah,
but
that little thud,
um,
little hollow pumpkin.
yeah, but then they weren't sure if I might have, hit a rock or something behind it. And but then he still kept going. And so then they're like, just go ahead and put a third one and see if you can, get him again. And so I send off a third one, and then he goes up over this little draw and then goes down in this hole. And so we let him chill for a couple hours before we went to go look for him, because we didn't want to push him out and
That's
have
right.
him just take off. And so he ended up just laying down in there. And then um, the guys were like asking me if I would go with them um, to go see to go see him. And so then I mean, I was okay with just hanging out in the side by side, waiting for them to bring it back to the side by side, so then they didn't have to, deal with trying to get me over there. And then, but then they're like, no, you're going with us. And so they my boss put me on his back and carried me a good I'm going to say a good 200 yards.
Wow.
And and it was up a super steep hill that had loose rocks and just sketchy as could be. Um, and I will forever be grateful for what they did that day doing that. And but when we got to the deer, he had three there was three holes, so I connected all three shots.
Wow.
And
550 yards. So what were you
it,
using? Were you using like a 300 Win Mag? Were you using a 30? I mean, what was you using?
it was
PRC?
a 7 mag.
Okay.
So it was my boss's gun. The only other time I had ever shot it was when I shot my antelope with him. And so that was the third time I'd ever pulled, or second time I'd ever pulled that trigger. And um, it was one of the coolest things that happened after the fact, after everything was over, was one of the guys he actually filmed RJ carrying me up the hill to where the deer was. And then that video ended up getting shared on Facebook and Instagram and just blew up. And like last year at the expo, I was actually recognized, a handful of times just from that video. And you know, so it was pretty cool just that that had happened. And that was actually just thanks to Mountain Ops, because they were the ones that had shared it. And so it just blew up off of their social media. So
Great people at Mountain Ops for sure. Trevor and that whole staff I mean, they just do a phenomenal job.
yeah, they're very they're very good people. I try to support them, in my own way. It's like I'm always wearing something that says Mountain Ops, whether it's a hat or a shirt. And I, take supplements and stuff every day. So, I love their stuff.
Oh,
But
it's phenomenal, phenomenal. And hearing you share that story, 550 yards. I mean, you have to be steady. You have to have, precision. You got to have just a good balance, you know. I mean, so thinking about, you know, you trying to crawl up to the gun, be undetected when all the other elements and things are going on, and you sound to me like you were steady with your hold and made three phenomenal shots at that distance. Congratulations.
And thank you. I was, I could feel my heart clear up into my throat.
Oh,
Adrenaline was pumping.
for
But and
sure.
then after, after it was all over, once we got over to him, then it was like, it was just kind of a release, and and I was in shock for a very long time that that all that had happened, and I was still just trying to come off of that high of being able to I mean, there's nothing like hunting, and having the love and the appreciation for the animal.
That's
And
right.
I mean, I, I mean, and plus, since I work in the taxidermy shop, then of course, he's going to be put on the wall as a memory, and just to as pretty as he is. And so
Every time you look
um,
up there at him, you'll have that memory come to you for the rest of
exactly.
your life, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, again, this is the Coach Scott Field Show, and just honored and humbled to have my buddy Jake Simmons on the show. And we're talking about sports. We're talking about him representing the USA, talking about wheelchair basketball. Now we're talking a little bit about some of his hunting experiences. And Jake, I want to go back. I mean, you know, you mentioned that you have spina bifida. You were born with it. You know, you had some kidney issues. Did you have to go through like a lot of surgeries as well as you were growing older? I mean, did you have any rods in the back and that? Because you know you hear of that with spina bifida.
So let's see. I think I had one, two, three. I think I've had a total of five surgeries. I think
Wow.
three on my hips, to like try to release my hip flexors. And then I had, of course, one on my lower back from the spina bifida. And then I have a shunt that's in my head. But that has been in my, I think I had that replaced once, and I was like 4 months old when it was
Wow.
replaced. And so I, I don't even know if it still works, if I even need it. Um, I'm kind of, I'm like the doctor that performed all my stuff. I'm like his probably his best case ever. That
Wow.
has, I've been, blessed and lucky enough that I haven't had. I've had a couple scares with like blood clots and stuff, because I'd I fell a few years ago transferring um from like my bed to my chair, which was really
Mm.
dumb. And um I ended up having um multiple blood clots in my leg, and so I had to go spend the night in the hospital, and then then I had to go like spend 2 weeks at my parents' house so they could take care of me, and
Yeah.
help take care of me. And I like I said, I've been blessed that I haven't had any real serious issues. I mean, I know others that struggle with a lot of things, and that have had, numerous shunt replacements, and, major kidney issues, and, just all kinds of stuff.
Ah,
And it's, the older that I'm getting, it's like I still have to be careful, and,
sure.
just be trying to take care of myself. And that's one of the main reasons, or one of the other reasons why I'm playing basketball, is just to try to stay active. And because being in a chair, and if you're not active, that catches up to you very fast,
Yeah.
and you can, things could go south real quick.
Yeah. Well,
And
I just love your whole mentality and your whole outlook. And yeah, without a doubt, you've been beyond blessed to have, you know, great doctors and surgeons who have helped you throughout your journey. But yet it's your mindset that intrigues me because again, you don't let anything stop you. And I love your perseverance and I love your positive outlook to say, like, you know what, you know, even though you've had these challenges and multiple surgeries, you're grateful for what you have, and yet you don't let that get you depressed. And I'm sure there's ups and downs like anybody, but
Yeah.
just your positive outlook and the way you attack your life with passion and purpose, I feel is a great example to people who are able-bodied and able-minded, because so many people have challenges with, you know, trying to stay positive and trying to have hope, and yet you always have something to look forward to. And I just truly admire that about you, and I truly believe that, Jake, you know, you impact so many lives, and I shared that with you at the show, but I
Yeah.
truly meant that with all sincerity. You inspire people just by your actions and attitude. And I just think it's phenomenal.
I appreciate that very much. You know, I have had my struggles, and you know, there's days that just suck.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then, but, but then it's like, you know, I'm grateful to, you know, just be alive
yeah,
and be able to, you know, do the things that you know, that I get to do. I mean, I have a job that I love. You know, I'm just part time, but it's something that gives me a reason to, you know, get up, go work for a few hours, come home, um, and you know, and then just being able to play basketball, and have that experience with all my teammates has been, you know, it's been good, um, mentally and physically both. Just to, you know, be able to get out on the court, and then also being able to help the others that are on the team that are younger, that, you know, are learning as we go. Since, I mean, we're a brand new team, and you know, so everybody's learning. I mean, in college I played for a very, very, very short time at University of Illinois, and they were one of the top wheelchair basketball teams in the country at the time. And you know, so I got that little bit of experience. Um, but then just being able to, like, you know, quote, mentor um, others that are on the team that are trying to, you know, progress with their, you know, basketball abilities, and be able to, you know, take it to, you know, possibly take it to another level, or you know, or go play college ball or something, you know, something like that for somebody. Um, it's just, I think I was telling you at the show too. I mean, I'm the second oldest one on the team,
yeah.
and it is so weird because I mean, I'm 43, and you know, we got a few players that are in their 20s. One that's like, I think she's 16, 7, you know, 15, 16, something like that, and um, but just having, you know, having that has been, you know, just a blessing in the last few months, because I took a break from playing basketball. Like, before we started back up here, it had been 2 years since I'd even touched a basketball,
Yeah, yeah.
and um, I just, you know, I got away from it, and um, but now, you know, circumstances have changed where I'm able to get back into it, and you know, have some fun with it, and just be able to um try to enjoy my life. And you know, I mean, like I was saying, I work, I live on my own, I drive, I live a very independent life, but I've I live next door to my aunt and uncle, and I live across the street from my mom and dad.
There you go.
So it's like, if I need something,
Yeah.
somebody will be here to help out. And
Yeah, to have that support system nearby. That's right. Well, talk about this, Jake. You know, you mentioned your boss earlier. Talk about if someone's out here in the West, you know, Idaho, Utah, Oregon, Washington, tell them the name of the taxidermy shop that you work at, because you guys do quality work. they can hit you up and, have a European mount. You can do some artwork. I see you tanning a lot of hides and doing things, but talk about your taxidermy shop and your boss.
So I work for the shop is called Hunter's Choice Taxidermy. It's in Nampa, Idaho. And I've been helping out for I think 5 years there, and doing doing a lot of different things. Like I do a lot of the dirty work, skinning things out in the beginning, and then I'll also do the prep work when the hide is ready to get mounted. Um, and then I've also been doing some carvings on some different European mounts that customers have asked for different things, and so I've been blessed to figure out that I can do that kind of stuff, and have a little bit of an artistic ability in 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 that part. So I'm able to like I brought home numerous things from the shop that I was gonna just try to maybe draw something on and then possibly sell afterwards, but I end up liking whatever it is that I do, and then I just keep it.
Gotta hold
So
on to it. And now, is
uh,
that a website to the taxidermy shop? Is it hunterschoice.com or?
I think it's Hunters. I believe it's hunterschoiceidaho.com.
Okay,
This is
hunterschoiceidaho.com. Well, ladies
yeah,
and gentlemen, look him up. Support their taxidermy shop. That's a way you can support. We talked about the Gem State Falcons, his basketball team. So, please, help out financially to help them with travel or equipment or, renting of practice gyms and things like that. But we've got a couple, 2 or 3 minutes here, Jake.
yeah.
What life lessons or words of wisdom and nuggets can you share with our viewers today? Any last comments that you want to share with them to inspire and uplift them?
Um, I would say, um, just to like for me personally, like I've talked to, a few others that were few younger kids that were in chairs that were, getting involved in sports and stuff. If you find if you find the sport that you love and that you're, doing, if you happen to do very well with it, stick with it and, just go with it as far as you can. Because like my racing career, I quit just out of high school.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there was a lot of years that I could have been, doing a lot more than what I did. Um, and I look back at, I look back at it and think, I never should have quit. I should have just stuck with it. And, just because I mean, I probably would have been right now just at the tail end of my career and about ready to retire from racing if I would have just stuck with it. And but I mean, in just that little bit of time, those 10 years that I did compete, I mean, I got to travel all over the country, um, internationally and nationally. So I mean, I got to go to a lot of places, see a lot of cool stuff, meet some really cool people, and and that's something that I will be able to keep with me, for the rest of my life. And that's, I mean, that's why I have that back there is just, memories of what I've done, and and it's a part of who I am. Um, but yeah, I mean, just stick with, if you find something that you love, stick with it. Don't give up on it, and just keep
Love
at
it.
it, keep pushing.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, again, this is the Coach Scott Field Show. And I'm telling you, I'm just truly uplifted and I'm inspired and I'm empowered by hearing your perseverance and to hear your mindset and to see how you attack your life with such passion. And I feel that we're all blessed and fortunate to hear your words and to have you, be a guest on this show. Ladies and gentlemen, again, this is Jake Simmons, and I can't thank you enough for sharing time for our viewers and listeners today of the Coach Scott Field Show. I want you to continue doing what you're doing. I can't wait to cross paths with you again, my friend. It was so good to finally meet in person and share stories and get to kneel down by the legend himself, Jake Simmons.
And I just wanted to say thank you very much for this opportunity here. I mean, and just being able to see you at the show, you know, getting around there was kind of tough. And you
Yeah,
know,
it got busy on Saturday for sure.
yeah, it was tough. So it's like I tried to find a spot where I'm comfortable, and then just like I hung out in the back pretty
Yeah.
much every day, away from everything going on up front. But just being able to spend time with you, visiting there, and then having the opportunity to do this is just like my mind is blown. Like where
Oh,
I'm just humbled to be able to talk to you here. And um it's like I told my family about it. And and I had, like I was telling you, I had a bunch of other people saying, well, how can we watch it, how can we watch it? So I'm like, well, I don't know, I'm just gonna go do the little interview and then see what happens. And but yeah, this has been a blast. And
oh,
if you I'd totally do this again. If you ever got to a point where you needed somebody to be on the show, I'm there.
Jake, thank you so much. We're lucky to have someone like yourself to share your life stories, share your journey, share your experiences, and I'm sure again, if they're not inspired, they just simply don't have a pulse, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But continue what you do, Jake. I admire you, I respect you, and just know I'm a fan. Go Gem State Falcons. Hey, if I had your jersey to wear, I'd rock it for you, brother.
It's number 15. That's my dad's number.
I love it. I love it. Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Coach Scott Field Show. Please share this content. Share this for others to be inspired and uplifted. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and let's continue to uplift each other. Let's continue to be kind and love and support all. So God bless you on your journey. Hope to see you soon, Jake. And again, stay tuned for the next episode of the Coach Scott Field Show. Be blessed.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.